Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining in this session. Um, so Dave and Teresa, you can hear me all right, and also you can see my desktop? Sure. Okay, wonderful. All right, okay, let's get started. Thank you very much for joining in. So today we're going to talk about the configurations of about the ProjectWise Web and the Web View service. Again, so this is the live office hours for ProjectWise is part of the Bentley Has Your Back initiative. So the common theme of this series of the webinars is to help ProjectWise users to work from home. So please stay tuned. Within the landing page, you will be able to see all the topics and the date and time, so you can pick whatever sessions you are interested in to join in. The only thing I want to highlight is we're going to stop at Good Friday and Easter Monday. So we're going to resume on April 14th. That will be the next Tuesday. Again, stay tuned. Um, so a lot of interesting topics along the way. If you miss any sessions, don't worry. We're going to post the recording in Facebook and YouTube. So you can always follow us to watch the recording on either on Facebook or on YouTube. During my presentation, you can type in any questions in the chat window. And after my presentation, I will open the line to everybody so you can feel free to speak out on any questions. Again, you can still type in whatever questions you have at that time. All right, before we go into any details, I want to talk about the Bentley overall ProjectWise Web Strategy. So Bentley is migrating from the server offering to cloud services. If you've been using ProjectWise Web Server or Web View Server in the past, so instead we're introducing the new cloud services correspondingly called Web Connection Service and Web View Service. The beauty of using cloud service is as long as you have internet connection, you have web browser, you will be able to consume the cloud service. So you don't have to install anything on your client machine. You don't have to install any ActiveX control at all. Just web browser and internet connection. And also, if you've been using ProjectWise Web Server before, one challenge was it only supports Internet Explorer. So now we support more popular browsers. As a matter of fact, Google Chrome and Microsoft Edge, they are the preferred browser. And also, lastly, if you've been using ProjectWise Web Server before, especially whenever you work share with the external parties, you have to manage the access control very carefully because you don't want external parties to see more than what they need to see. So now, by using the web connection service, is project based. So you can be confident external parties can only see all they can see would be within a specific project. In that case, you never need to worry about any security compromise within your ProjectWise system. The commonality between the web connection and the web view service is users will be able to use web browser to access ProjectWise data. Let's zoom into what the differences between those two cloud services. And firstly, the web connection is project-based, as I mentioned. And in contrast, web view is based upon data source. So whenever you expose the whole data source, potentially the users will be able to access all the data within a data source. And second of all, the access control So by consuming the web connection service, essentially any ProjectWise users have the same access control as the desktop client. And in corresponding, so in comparison, the web view, you will have view-only access, except for the data you do not have access. A good example would be, let's say within a data source, we have a confidential project. And then, you know, only the members within that project specific AD group, they can only view that project. In that case, regardless which tool you're using, if you cannot see a certain confidential project, regardless which tool you're using, you still have exactly the same result. But really, I just want to recap here in terms of access control. If you have read-write permission to certain project, you can use your desktop client or using the web connection or consuming the web connection service. You will have exactly the same access. If you are using web view, even you have read-write permission to a certain project, as long as you are consuming the web view, you have view-only access. So uh, given those special features about the web connection and the web view cloud services, the web connection is more suitable for engineers and the reviewers. So essentially, your main task would be to work on Office documents, to review and mark up PDF files. In that case, the web connection service is more suitable for you. The other part would be for any external partners. As long as they are non-CAD users, you might consider to give them the web connection service access. So they will be able to work share with you on a specific project. So for the web view, for any users, if they only need view-only access, the web view would be your best bet. Another thing I want to highlight here is uh, so recently there's a change about a web view. So very similar to the traditional ProjectWise Web View server. So now you do not need any license to consume the web view cloud service. So that would be another consideration when you choose which cloud service would be more suitable for you. So let's have a quick look on if I'm a normal user, how can I leveraging the cloud service to access the ProjectWise data? So if I'm a normal user, I want to use my web browser, so I will connect to the Bentley cloud service first. And going through that Bentley cloud service, I will access a piece of server software called Bentley Web Service Gateway. And then through the Web Service Gateway, I will be able to access the ProjectWise data. So the whole architecture was designed in a way so from cloud service, we can securely access ProjectWise data. You never want any user directly facing your ProjectWise server software, right? So really the idea was to go through the web service gateway. As you can imagine, the web service gateway will having two network cards. One would be facing to the public, the other one facing internally to your ProjectWise servers and data. In this case, we can always confident we never make any compromise in terms of the ProjectWise system security. So with that being said, obviously we need to go through the web service gateway to access your ProjectWise data. So if your ProjectWise system is hosted by Bentley, the answer is easy. So you just contact Bentley, will provide the URL for the Bentley Web Service Gateway. So here you go. Bentley will take care of everything in terms of how to configure Web Service Gateway, how to install the digital certificate to make sure everything is secure. If your ProjectWise system is hosted on-prem, in that case, you do need to deploy the Web Service Gateway. Again, it's not that complicated. If you click on this link, you will be able to, it will take you to the documentation about the web service gateway configurations. So that will be a starting point on how to deploy the web service gateway. All right, so now let's move on to the configurations of ProjectWise Web Connection Service. So what do we need to configure so the end users will be able to consume those cloud services? So first of all, as I mentioned multiple times, ProjectWise Web Connection Service is project-based, and therefore you need to register a ProjectWise project in the cloud. So if you log on to the Bentley connect.bentley.com, so now it really depends on your permissions. So typically, the admin or co-admin within your organization, only them, they can register a brand new project. So I would suggest if you consider using ProjectWise Web Connection Service and you can log on to connect.bentley.com with your Bentley MS account. If you have the permissions, you will see the register project button is enabled. So if you don't, you can contact your ProjectWise admin within your organization. Typically, they will have the either admin or co-admin privileges, so they will be able to register a project for you. So essentially, on how to register a brand new ProjectWise project is relatively straightforward. You just fill out this form, and that's everything you need. It's relatively straightforward. The key thing is the permissions. So again, is to be able to register a project, you need either admin or co-admin privileges within your organization. So that's the first step. The second step is now, if you already have, your admin within your organization register a new ProjectWise project for you. So the common practice is once they register a brand new project, they will manage the team members for you. So this is really to delegate permissions. The common use case would be as your organization admin, they register a brand new project, they will add users. And then here they can manage what permissions they give out to individual users. A good practice would be within your organization, you have multiple level support. So the ProjectWise admin, they will be on the highest level. So they serve as within your organization, they will be working as admin or co-admin. The second level would be the power user group. So typically we name that as project admin groups. In that case, imagining I'm a ProjectWise admin within an organization. I register a brand new ProjectWise project. So I will add users as the project admin to a specific project. In that case, I will delegate the permissions to the project admins. So from that point on, they will be able to manage their own projects. So essentially, I delegate the permissions to the power user groups. And in this case, even we only have a small number of the project admins within an organization, they can delegate, maybe hundreds of the projects to the project power user group. Those guys will take over to manage individual project within a specific project. When you manage the team members within a ProjectWise project, so there are multiple roles you can choose. So there are certain predefined roles, or if you want, you can customize the roles by yourself. The other thing I want to highlight is whenever you are trying to add users, You can invite external parties. To invite any users outside of your organization, you can click on this button. So you will invite any external partners to join in your project. So using this way, you can collaborate on a specific project. The only thing I want to highlight would be whenever you invite any external users, they will consume the license from your organization. So that's something you might consider, maybe have some consensus with your external parties. So maybe they will consume the license from your organization and then they will pay back later on, or any agreement you can come up with. But then on the technical basis, that's something I guess you need to know beforehand. So we've been talking about the first step, the configurations about a ProjectWise product. So A, you need the admin or co-admin within your organization to register a ProjectWise project. And when they register the ProjectWise project, at the same time, they will delegate the permissions to the power user groups. So in this case, even though we only have a small number of the ProjectWise admins, you can have a large number of the project admins. So they will manage their own projects. In this case, within your organization, you can have hundreds or maybe thousands of the ProjectWise project in the cloud. So the second step is really now we have this ProjectWise project, and now we're able to uh, create the connection between a work area inside a ProjectWise data source to that ProjectWise project in the cloud. In this case, as soon as we establish this connection, all the users will be able to consume the cloud service to access the ProjectWise data within the data source. So to be able to do that, so imagining now we have this project and we register this project, we manage the team members. So now we're able to establish the connection between a work area within a ProjectWise data source to this ProjectWise project in the cloud. So to do that, it is very straightforward. You just click on these web connections. And if you still remember, I highlight to be able to consume those two cloud services, we need something called a Bentley Web Service Gateway. So essentially, we need to manage a connection to associate a work share, work area within a data source with and the ProjectWise product in the cloud. So to be able to create a new connection, we need to know the URL of the Bentley Web Service Gateway. And here I want to highlight two things. A is not, by using this cloud service, web connection service. So not only you can connect the ProjectWise connection, but also you can also create the SharePoint connection as well. Imagining within your project, you have certain data reside inside a ProjectWise data source, certain data inside a SharePoint. In that case, you can consume this cloud service to build up is a one-stop shop to consolidate. Here's the link to access ProjectWise data. Here's the link to access the SharePoint data. So essentially, one location, people will be able to use the cloud service to access data in various sources. So if we zoom into the cloud, the ProjectWise connection, so here's the URL to your Bentley Web Service Gateway. If your system is hosted by Bentley, it's really simple. Contact Bentley will give this URL, so you're ready to go. Otherwise, you have to deploy yourself. So given this URL, and then you can always click on Get Data Source. So here you will be able to see all the data sources exposed through the web service gateway. Again, how you configure this is really up to your ProjectWise admins. If it's hosted by on-prem, and then your ProjectWise admin can determine which data source you want to expose. So now if we choose a specific data source, and then we can choose the work area. I want to expose, I want to associate to this ProjectWise project. So here's all the work area we can see within a specific data source. So once you establish this association, and then for all the team members within this ProjectWise project, they will be able to click on this link, and then now they will be able to access all the ProjectWise data by using web browser. If I can just recap very quickly, to configure ProjectWise Web Connection Service, essentially only two steps. One would be you need to register a ProjectWise project, and then once you have that ProjectWise project, you need to manage the team members. So they will be able to access the ProjectWise project by using the web browser. The second step is really up to the project admins, the power user group within your organization. So they typically will have the project admin privileges within that specific ProjectWise project. So when they log in, they can create the association between a work area within a data source into a ProjectWise project in the cloud. As soon as this association is established, and then all the team members within a ProjectWise project will be able to access the ProjectWise data by using web browser. Again, you can click on all these links. You will be able to find the Bentley documentation to find all the details. So what I just did is just to very quickly walk you through on the major steps you need to set up. So let's move on to see what configurations required to configure the web view service. So the users will be able to access the ProjectWise data through web browser. For this configuration is really straightforward. So all we need to do is to establish an association between a data source to your organization workspace inside connect.bentley.com. Again, typically it's limited to the admin or co-admin within your organization. So again, because it's data source based, it's not depending on the power user groups. It's only limited to the ProjectWise admins within your organization. Either they need admin or co-admin privileges. So if I go to my login, because I'm logging as Bentley, so I can see all these things. So I can see all the products. So essentially, when I log in, I can see the whole Bentley workspace within the connect.bentley.com. If you log in with your organization users, you will be able to see this will be showing up for your organization. Could be your company name or something like that. So if you are the admin or co-admin within your organization, so essentially you will be able to see specifically something called ProjectWise Web View. It's not project-based, it's data source-based, so you do not need to register any project inside the cloud. Instead, you just click on ProjectWise Web View, and here you will be able to create any web connections here. Again, it's very similarly, you need to provide the URL about what Bentley Web Service Gateway, and from here you will be able to see all the data sources you exposed going through the web service gateway. Again, a very similar process. You choose the data source and then you're ready to go. Once you expose this, and then any users within your organization, or if you want to invite any external parties, external partners, they will be able to click on individual data source, and then they will have read-only view to access the data within that project, within that data source. Again, as I said, as I mentioned earlier, they will have view-only access except for the data they do not have access. So even though you have confidential project within a specific data source, if the user do not have access, they cannot work around by using this web view service. So no access, regardless which tool they're using, there will be no access. The last thing I want to mention is I would encourage people to click on this link. So that's the FAQ for the web view service. There's a lot of very helpful, useful information within this FAQ page. So feel free to browse around. I think a lot of very useful information are out there.